Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Mess Mornings, still presented by Deku Deals. With me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Nintendo making a surprise acquisition on Thanksgiving because it's Nintendo, and the potential return of a classic Xbox 360 zombie series. It's going to be a good one because we have Lexi Luddy on the show. Lexi, how are you doing?
I'm not doing too bad, Jeff. It's been a real roller coaster couple of days.
I
I
bet.
uh, I reached out and I asked for some help raising some funds so that I could build a computer because it's become pretty apparent that I'm gonna need a computer to stay in this industry. Um, and I had an opportunity come down the pike for 2026 that was like, hey, if you're willing to do some reviews for us, would like you to do reviews for us, but it has to be on PC. Um, and I was like, I don't think my laptop will be able to run most games. So I asked for some help, and people really showed up, and it was nice to feel appreciated, and like people wanted me in the space. Um, and then I looked at the price of RAM, and I went, "Fuck, people don't appreciate me enough."
Yeah, you need a little bit more appreciation out there these days, especially than you needed a couple of months ago. That's for sure. It's going to get worse. The appreciation is
Yep,
just going to get more expensive.
it was the thing that tipped me over the edge because I was kind of saying like I had this offer come through and I was like, I'll see what the Steam machine is like. This might be the answer to all my problems. And then a friend of mine was like, okay, while you do that, I'm gonna like pick out parts and kind of price out what it would be to build a PC from Irish suppliers for you. And between Monday of last week and Wednesday of last week, we watched listings for 32 gigabytes of RAM that we could have gotten in Ireland before the end of like 2025. The cheapest one we were looking at on Monday was €154. By Wednesday, it was €423.
Holy shit, that's a bigger number. That's a much bigger
Yeah,
number.
it's a way fucking bigger number. It's
Uh,
bad.
okay. Yeah, it's going to keep getting worse out there, I think. So yeah, unfortunately, it's like you still got to just move now while you still can, because if you want one in the next year, it just seems like it's going to keep going up in price. What is that link still going? Where was the drop the link, Lexi?
Yeah, it is. It's on my Blue Sky. I'll go
Oh,
find it there.
all right.
But yeah, people have been really supportive. There were people offering to send me stuff, but a lot of them were in America, and I was like, listen, I've shipped things to the US recently. That would not work out well for either of us.
No,
It's
yes,
not
exactly.
worth it.
It's not worth it for anybody involved. Absolutely. I had a good Thanksgiving. Happy to be back, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there while we were off. Thanksgiving, one of my favorite holidays. It delivered again this year. Good food. I ended up doing City Barbecue, which is a local chain of barbecue restaurants here, and they made the turkey, and it was very good. That was a good choice because Thanksgiving's kind of my thing here. It's the rest of the family not as into it as I am, so I don't like to put any work on them. So in the past, I've made all the food, and no problem with that, except for I also like sitting around and watching football. So this year I was able to do both by just kind of outsourcing a little bit, and food was very delicious. So had a good time. And then the second thing I want to talk to you about, Lexi. Lexi, do you have like people in your country who are like very brand loyal to something like do you know what Dunkin' Donuts is?
Yeah. We have Krispy Kremes now. We got them literally last year.
Okay, do you have like people who are like that's their whole thing? Because it's definitely something out here where people are like, oh, I'm a Starbucks girly or very into Dunkin' Donuts. Well, I saw the mythical creature of a van that was decked out in Dunkin' Donuts like bumper stickers, and one of them said, "If you see me, I'm probably on my way to Dunkin' Donuts." And I got to watch them pull into a Dunkin' Donuts, and it felt magical. All right, I felt blessed, Lexi. Do you have that all over
Ho-
there? Anything
ho-
like that?
Honk if you're horny. Plus, um, I was gonna say the closest we have with that is like tea bags. People are very particular about like
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
which type of tea they get. Especially Irish people and British people. Irish people are like, no, Irish tea is the only way to go. British people are like, no, British tea. And I saw that Super Eye Patch Wolf went to the newly opened Taco Bell in a fucking
Yes, I saw that picture.
yeah, in a freeway like road stop trip place. That's
Hell yeah.
basically it's along the side of a
In
motorway, which
its
for
natural state. Yeah.
yeah, which for Americans is what Europeans call freeways.
Hmm.
And
We
it's
call them
like
a lot of things. Yeah.
yeah, it's like a combination with fucking pizza place as well. The what's his name? The fucking really sweaty guy who is terrifying.
Papa
Uh
John?
Papa John, yeah. It's a combination Papa John's place if I've done my research correctly. And a Supermax, which you don't have there, but Grubb, you
No.
would love
Well, we do, but they're
because
prisons.
yeah, you would love Supermax because it is the chain that named their burger the Big Mac. And then McDonald's tried to take them to court, and they were like, actually, we've been around for longer, and we've been calling it the Big Mac for longer. So
Wow.
McDonald's had to let them call it the Big Mac in Ireland. So you'd love them. They're flipping it to the man.
I deeply appreciate that. Absolutely. Can I ask a question? You said Irish tea versus British tea. Is any of it grown in either country?
Oh God, no! Fuck
I was
no!
gonna say, I was like, I don't know much about tea, as my history has proven time and time again. I just wanted to go get that on the record there, real quick.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's a good time. All right, we should explain ourselves and get into this show. We're Giant Bomb video game doofuses, as you can obviously tell. We're out here on our own doing independent games media, that whole thing. That means no corporate backer. That means we have to have you at our back instead. And you can help us out and ensure we continue doing what we're doing, enabling us to do more cool stuff in the future by going to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member. It means the world to us. Every time we see someone join up, we see it. It means the world to us. It really does make this whole thing go round. And we appreciate all the support. One more time, that's giantbomb.com/join. Get free ad-free episodes, things like that, a bunch of goodies, more stuff in 2026 as we have to deliver on a lot of stuff from the Bombathon and stuff like the new website, which is going to launch.
If you go to that link right now, don't freak out. You can't sign up.
Yes,
It's frozen.
The site froze this morning, although that's I see Chuck's already getting some hair pulling moments here in the Discord. I'm just going to let him handle that. Real quick, can we get some just Chuckies in chat for Chuck? Or thank Chuck for Chuck. He is probably going to die this week. It'll be well worth it because we'll have a new website on the other side, but he's probably going to die. And I, for one, am going to be a little bit sad about that. So thank you, Chuck, for all the work there. And that means enormousexplosive.com is going to become the new Giant Bomb, but the site is frozen. You can't do anything on there right now. If you didn't log in, accounts lost. There's just nothing we could do about it at this point. You had a fair warning.
We should really see if we can get Chuck and Dave Snyder into a podcast together. Yeah. And just let the two of them like scream into the void.
all like the sort of whole lineage of engineers.
They
talk about the evolution to this point. That would be, I'm sure you would love that. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Nintendo enters deal to acquire Bandai Namco Studios Singapore. This comes from Asif Khan at Shack News. Nintendo has announced its intention to acquire all of Bandai Namco Studios Singapore, BNSS, to strengthen development structure at the entire company. The Big N will establish a new subsidiary now called Nintendo Studios Singapore as a result of this deal, valued at over 1 million Singapore dollars. That amounts to about 770,000 at the time of this article. Here is the purpose of the acquisition section of the press release posted directly to the Nintendo Investors Relation website. BNSS was established as one of Bandai Namco Group's overseas bases and is a development company with strong expertise in creating in-game art assets. It has contributed to the development of Nintendo titles, including the Splatoon series, and has an ongoing business relationship with Nintendo. Considering this business record, Nintendo has made the decision to acquire shares in BNSS to strengthen the development structure of the Nintendo Group. Basically, to me, I read this, Lexi, as Bandai Namco, like everyone else, is looking at cutting costs. this is one of those things where it's like, unless we have something very active with Nintendo, and even if we do, we might cut costs and say, have AI do this work for Nintendo instead. And Nintendo goes, nah, no. If we're paying you money, we're going to have it done the right way. And let's work something out here instead. If you're trying to cut costs, let's just take this off your hands. We'll continue with business as usual for us, and still be able to get the art assets that we need from the people that we've worked with before and trust for future Splatoon games and other games likely going forward. What's your take?
Yeah, this is an interesting acquisition. I'm not sure if you remember, but this studio's most recent project was that paper mache action game. The kind of
Oh, I
it
don't
was
remember.
it was at a couple of things. Chat will know the name of it. I'm looking at an image of it right now, but it was so generic I just can't remember the name of the fucking game.
Hirogami. Horigami?
Hirogami. That's it.
It's two different spellings. Okay.
I played like 2 hours of it and it was fine. It was just very like plain. But they've done a bunch of support work on a bunch of titles. They worked on like Monster Hunter Worlds' ports. So they have been around the place and they have worked with a lot of external teams. This is mainly interesting because this was the team that was originally going to be making Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
And had been for several years before
At least
Nintendo.
two,
Before Nintendo looked at it and were like, actually, we're not a huge fan of this. So yeah, it's interesting that, even despite that project not going according to plan, that Nintendo are like, we still want to bring them internally. Maybe they see the value of them as a support studio more so than as a lead development studio, and they think that they could kind of leverage that more if they just straight up own them. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's like $770,000 is not much. I think that kind of tells the tale here a little bit that this is a friendly transfer from Bandai Namco to Nintendo, two companies that will continue to have an ongoing relationship. I don't think that this means suddenly Bandai Namco is not going to be there to support other Nintendo games in the future. That's something that they've probably made quite a bit of money doing. But this is just like, this is becoming not necessarily something that we want to keep around. And Nintendo is something, well, we want to keep this. So let's just go ahead and purchase some of the assets, maybe some licenses, some tools. $770,000 is almost just like lawyers' fees for getting the deal done. So it's just, hey, we're going to take the people on this payroll and we will begin paying them instead directly. You don't have to worry about it anymore. And it's effectively like you've been able to lay these people off and cut those costs without anyone losing their jobs, and we continue to get the content that we need. This article that I got here from Shack News, they're like, maybe this is a precursor to more acquisitions from Nintendo, bigger things yet to come, because Furukawa has talked. It says right here. Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa did say during its earnings release conversation with analysts earlier this month that the company is looking at potential acquisitions, and this targeted purchase could just be the beginning of a larger expansion. I don't think this is any sign that they are expanding. This sounds like a strategic, like shoring up of their current business with the potential to do more with like the stuff that they have, but I don't think they're going to expand through acquisition. What do you think?
Asif's a smart guy. He looks at a lot of this stuff. And it keeps quite a close eye on the markets and stuff like that. But
Yes.
I definitely think that that this is more so Nintendo picking and choosing and making the small bets that make sense. You saw that with the movie studio that they acquired, or not the movie studio, but the animation studio that they acquired.
The film studio, yeah.
Yeah. I think that right now they are looking around at the rest of the industry, which did overspend for a lot of big studios. You see that a lot with the Subnautica 2 stuff at the moment. You could argue that you see it with Sony and Bungie. But they're looking around and they're saying, like, listen, we do want to continue to grow and to move into different markets and to sustain our pipelines and to shore up our pipelines, especially when, like, or partners aren't the healthiest they've ever been in a lot of ways. You know, there are
Yeah.
companies that are struggling that Nintendo would rely on for outsourcing previously. So they are probably going like, listen, we're perfectly healthy. We can afford to make smaller bets on these small studios that will continue to support us. And we're like, their jobs, they have been surviving off of supporting us for the last like 10 years or whatever. In some ways, it just makes me feel really bad for the Mario and Luigi team, who probably would have gotten a deal very close to this if they had stuck it out a couple more years.
Alpha Dream, yeah.
Alpha Dream, that's it. And you know, I'm curious to see the ones that the acquisitions that they're not making are also interesting because you know, what's it called? The developers of Metroid Dread,
the Mercury Steam
not being brought in, and that's something that it feels like years ago there was always the thing of people being like, oh, Microsoft should buy Moon Studios because everyone associates the Ori games with Moon Studios. And then as time went on, it became very clear why Microsoft might not want to buy Moon Studios. And I am kind of like, oh, I wonder if there's something like that in that case. Of if there's something rotten in that part of their portfolio, and they're kind of like, maybe let's not bring this in-house.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, it's safe to assume that based on the reporting and the investigations that are happening into Mercury Steam in their country, Spain, right?
Yes, Spain.
At the same time, you know, Nintendo doesn't acquire every single one of these partners. There's many of these studios that were in Alpha Dream's position that have been in that position for decades. Intelligent Systems, you know, not Hudson, but Hale, yes, Hale. Things that have just been able to mostly be external or fully external, and yet deep partners with Nintendo, and it's worked out well so far. Nintendo seems to pull the trigger on these acquisitions when it comes time to protect their business and make sure that they can continue doing things as they have been doing them. And again, maybe the expansion comes because it's like now we have more resources that we can allocate ourselves without having to go through any bureaucracy or deal making, and that's going to be helpful. Mercury Steam, that name, you know, just think of that name. That Mercury produces steam at like room temperature, right? Like, why would you name your company at like, hey, we're lukewarm games? I don't know.
I know. Did you play Blades of Fire?
Lukewarm games. I guess so.
I did play Blades of Fire, and that's kind of how I felt.
All right, we'll keep going here. Capcom is reportedly working on a new Dead Rising sequel starring Frank West. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. Capcom is working on a new Dead Rising game. That's according to a new report from MP First, which VGC can partially corroborate via our own sources, which claims that an in-development zombie action sequel will also see a return of original protagonist Frank West. The project in question won't be a remaster or remake, but a new main entry in the series, the publication claims. It's said that the new Dead Rising will see West head to Hollywood, with action primarily taking place within a massive enclosed movie studio lot, where the game's main villain forces Frank and other survivors into various trials, all in pursuit of filming his perfect movie. The timing aligns with a recent remaster of the original Dead Rising game, which was released last year with improved visuals, revamped controls, and quality of life improvements. VGC's Dead Rising Deluxe Remastered review called it, pretty good. The perfect setup for a new sequel. It does feel like Dead Rising is about to come back. I don't know why it's there in the air. It's probably that remake came out and did pretty well and looked like Capcom gave it a good amount of love. You know what it is?
It's the Xbox anniversary, and there's nothing else to hitch your wagon to. Xbox aren't doing anything. So, like, Dead Rising getting its own remake the year before, people are like, oh yeah, I remember when I played this on my Xbox 360, a console I feel good about, you know?
Yep.
So, the timing's worked out for them.
Exactly. It's one of those franchises that's well positioned for them to be like, we have an opportunity here with this anniversary and nostalgia probably hitting a little bit of a fever pitch. Maybe it's probably not going to be as much as it will be one day, but this is going to be a plateau for that where it's like, oh, people are going to get pretty excited about Xbox 360. And they have their reliable franchises over at Capcom. And they continue to look for what is the next one that can sit alongside Resident Evil and Street Fighter and Monster Hunter And we have Dragon's Dogma 2 do very well, but that doesn't seem like that's going to be okay. Now we're going to get a new one of those every 3 to 5 years. That's going to be an every so often kind of game, while that team maybe goes back and forth between Devil May Cry and Dragon's Dogma. Dead Rising could be the next one that they try that with, to be like, hey, we did a remake or a remaster, I suppose. Let's get a new game, and maybe we could start the process of treating that like a mini Resident Evil. I think they're trying to continue to grow by finding familiar things to latch onto, and Dead Rising feels really ripe for that. Maybe not as ripe as some things. Like, it's not going to do as well as Resident Evil, but I still think that there's a lot of people who really like Dead Rising and will show up for this. Do you think a new Dead Rising, that apparently this will bring back the timing mechanic of there's a running clock, and when you die, you could sort of restart, but kind of roguelite-ish. The first Dead Rising had that. Do you think that is something that they can continue to work with in today's gaming landscape? Maybe people are more used to that, and also bringing back Frank West. Does all that sound like a recipe for success?
As someone who's friends with Scott McRae, who is the #1 Dead Rising defender,
Perfect.
this is what the people who like Dead Rising really, really want. This is what the people who like that franchise really, really want. I am looking at the Frank West wiki page, and do you remember when they made a movie of Dead Rising?
Kinda, yes. Who played him? Was it I can't remember who played him.
It was the guy from 21 Jump Street, who was the gym teacher.
No, I'm gonna need more than wait. Okay, now I'm gonna have to look it up myself. Right, it was Rob Riggle. That's right. Okay, yeah, Rob Riggle.
Rob Riggle. That's it.
Yes. Jeez. Okay, that's kind of a
listen. It was. It's pretty inspired casting. Also, yes. That movie looks like it was made for like $40. So
yeah, and a hamburger maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. I welcome Dead Rising to return, both as a game and a weird bad movie franchise. I'll take both. I think that the clock mechanic can work even better now. I think they will have learned a lot, and especially after just recently dabbling with the first game again through that remaster, they'll be like, okay, here's what works and what doesn't. Here's how we can make it even better. And I think that this next one could really hit.
Back when that first game came out, you couldn't even really describe it as a roguelike, because that wasn't a genre that we used to describe games like that. Whereas now you can just be like, yeah, it's a roguelike. You know, you are trying to get your perfect run done or whatever. And, you know, games like Deathloop have essentially made all of that stuff make sense in a way that people now understand what that genre is trying to be. So yeah, I would be way into this. I love weird Capcom. I always feel a bit weird about how Capcom treated Capcom Vancouver. That always felt like a pretty rough place to work for a lot of reasons. But I don't know. I'm glad that this franchise is getting a second chance.
Yep. Same here. I also think that the idea of like making the perfect movie, something about combining the clock mechanic, like doing a run system with like stuntman of like, we're trying to get the perfect shot each time and getting better and better at that, kind of running through those scenes. There's something there. So hopefully, yeah, go ahead.
For Christmas, my brother got our parents Apple TV Plus, and so we've been watching a little bit of stuff. And we just started watching The Studio with Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
And they should just make that with zombies. They should just like have a film producer who's really fucking bad at all of this and is trying to make good movies, but also wants to make $1 billion, ruin every single project he touches, and winds up making Martin Scorsese cry.
I think that there's a good chance that it will be something along those lines. I'm looking forward to it for sure. This could show up at the Game Awards, right? There's a couple of stories here where that is going to come up. This is definitely one where I won't be surprised. If we get into the Game Awards, a trailer starts up, we go, wait, Capcom, is this? And it turns out to be Dead Rising, whatever the number or subtitle is going to be.
It would be really good if they leaned into the bait and switch that they've been doing with Resident Evil, of like teasing that Resident Evil trailer is going to be at the show, and then the one more thing is Dead Rising. They like show a zombie, and then Frank West shows up. They should do that.
That would be
your marketing.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That would be a lot of fun. I hope they do exactly that. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, plenty more headlines to get into. If you don't like the breaks, you can get an ad-free version of this show. There's a video and an audio version that both don't have ads. You can get that on giantbomb.com. Once the site's unfrozen, I suppose. In the meantime, we'll be right back. Jan, you taught me to overcome my fear of sharp objects. I want to teach you how to overcome your fear of saving money.
No, I don't wanna. I will only ever pay the manufactured suggested retail price.
Stop. You don't have to live this way because now there's Deku Deals.
The double D?
That's right. Deku Deals is the best way to find deals on any major gaming platform or store.
I don't want no bunk out-of-date coupon code, Grubb.
It's nothing like that. Deku Deals has both the hottest and the freshest deals updated constantly. It's also just added Steam support with a super simple page to find bundles for Steam code.
Ooh, I just found the Mist and Riven Complete collection for $8 on Humble using Deku Deals right now.
I also use Deku Deals to build an add and share wish list. You can even use it to keep track of your collection.
You know what? I think we should all build some lists and host them on DekuDeals.com/giantbomb.
And if listeners go to DekuDeals.com/giantbomb, they can vote to make us play a game on the November 21st episode of Unprofessional Fridays.
Learn more at DekuDeals.com/giantbomb.
Game Mess Mornings are back. Lex Luddy, Jeff Grubb. Let's get back into it. You just mentioned it. The Marvel Cosmic Invasion reviews are up. I have a bunch of reviews over here on OpenCritic, where the game has an 82. I've been playing a lot of this game. We should have a quick look up soon. It should be up on YouTube and stuff here today, if not later this week. I think it's pretty good. I like it better than the Turtles Beat 'em Up, which is the other game from Tribute. I think that they kind of expanded on the just the basic mechanics of combat and defense, where it feels like you have a few more options. You have a parry. Some characters have a shield. Some characters have a dodge, and you can swap between them. It's a swap system. It is a beat 'em up that is very informed by Marvel versus Capcom. It feels like, hey, let's take that old X-Men beat 'em up, combine it with some elements from Marvel versus Capcom and modern day beat 'em ups, and it's a really solid formula. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I don't think it lives up to like Streets of Rage 4 or some of the other best ones in the genre. Absalom is the beat 'em up of the moment still. But it's really solid, and it's a strong sort of follow-up to anyone that's been like, hey, I wish they would do a new one of those X-Men beat 'em ups, but with some modern sensibilities. Let's see, Will Borger at IGN gave it a 7 out of 10, says the stages and enemies aren't going to blow you away, but Marvel Cosmic Invasion's tag team action still has the juice. Jason Finelli over at GameSpot also gave it a 7. Exciting side-scrolling action and a varied roster of heroes come together in a fun retro romp. Nintendo Life Tom Massey gave it an 8 out of 10 and said, pure cartoon fun and all the better for it. Tribute Games has not only totally honored the source material, but delivered one of the best arcade Marvel games ever made. The aesthetic is beautiful, and the efforts involved in creating such a varied cast of beat-em-up protagonists is admirable. Yes, there are areas for improvement, and some of its combat feedback oversights feel like missed opportunities. But if you primarily want multiplayer action to unlock and grind and level up your cast and get knee deep in Marvel mayhem, it's right on the money. I have my sister-in-law is a huge Marvel fan, has always been. Massive comic collection, just has always loved the characters. She was over for Thanksgiving. We played some of this, and it was a big hit with her. She got to play as Storm, who's her favorite character, and it was a good time, just sort of hanging out and seeing this real briefly before they had to head home.
This might be a bit of a sore subject, but is Cyclops in this game?
Oh, yeah, you shouldn't have brought it up. Why'd you do that? He is not, although I'll say just the fact that it has this 2-player tag system and it has a roster that is not massive, it feels like it is primed for a lot of characters to get added. That's been a trend here for beat 'em ups recently, where it's like the roster just keeps growing. If you go back and check on Streets of Rage 4 now and you unlock everything, that roster's massive. So expect them to keep adding characters. And boy, Cyclops would hit hard in this game. I think he would be a lot of fun.
I meant to ask, when you've been playing Absalom, have you been using the 8-bit Do 6-button controller? Because I would recommend whipping that out. It feels good.
I just found it, and so I'm going to be doing exactly. I got the Genesis one, basically the M30 or whatever. I also have a newer one that I got also that's sitting over there. I'm going to try those because you were the one that recommended that to me initially.
Yes,
and I'll go for that.
I was really excited when I got back from Japan and I had bought that 6-button Genesis controller at the Nintendo store. And then I plugged it in, and Nintendo, for whatever reason, they let you remap buttons on any controller that you plug in, except for the classic controllers.
It's weird.
And I'm just like, why? Now I can't. And there's so many games that almost work, that are almost perfect. And I'm like, if I could just swap 2 buttons, this would be incredible. And Nintendo's like, actually, what about no?
It's Nintendo. All right, let's keep going here. Metal Gear's producer says he's undecided on future remakes. Metal Gear Solid 4 would be, quote, a real challenge. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. Metal Gear Solid series producer Noriaki Akamura has claimed that Konami is undecided on whether it will create future or further series remakes in the future, following the release of Metal Gear Solid Delta. Speaking to Japanese publication Real Sound, Akamura was asked what kind of titles we'll see from the Metal Gear Solid series in the future, aside from the recently discussed Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. Akamura claimed that Konami was still at the decision stage for what to do with next with Metal Gear, and that future titles could come in the form of more remakes or something else. Right now, we're still in the stage of thinking about what to make next, he said via machine translation. Since Metal Gear has given us a chance to reach a new audience, I'd like to keep building on that momentum. That said, the actual content of what we'll make is still undecided. It could be another remake, or we might take on something entirely new. The Metal Gear series is practically a history of video games in itself, ranging from pixel art to film-like presentation. So the best way to remake or reinterpret each title differs greatly. He continued, we have no intention of simply applying the same methodology we use for Metal Gear Solid Delta to every game. We want to determine the most suitable approach for each game. Many of the original staff had left, and the team had been restructured, so we had to gather new people to finally get Metal Gear Solid Delta made. As a team, we're confident that we managed to preserve the appeal of the past titles while achieving a level of quality that modern players can enjoy. And then he goes on to say Metal Gear Solid 4 would be particularly challenging. The hardware at that time required some very unusual designs to get 3D performance out of the technology available. And Metal Gear Solid 4's code ended up being quite unconventional as well. Bringing it over today seems like it would be a real challenge. We'll see. First of all, yes, as Chad says, I wonder who they're talking about. Who left?
Yeah, even in machine translation, you can kind of tell him being like, how do I say this without saying it's a fucking nightmare to make something for the PS3, and Kojima's programming was even more of a nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. Look, Metal Gear Solid, the collection volume 2 is still coming. Metal Gear Solid 4 is certainly going to be a part of that. There's no reason. I'm not saying there's no reason. There's the PSP games and stuff. It'd be weird to do that without Metal Gear Solid 4, so I'm assuming, and I think they might have said publicly that Metal Gear Solid 4 is a part of it. Metal Gear Solid 4 will be the marquee game there. If people could just play that thing again, they'll be happy. I don't know if a remake is something that they need to rush to do for that game. If I were them, I would get maybe a little bit more creative and go back to Metal Gear 1 and think about remaking that as a modern 3D game, but maybe it's too soon for that. What do you think is going to happen here?
So hear me out. People are always going to be mad if they touch any of Kojima's games.
Yes.
So what Metal Gear game didn't have Kojima's involvement, but has also not gotten any love over recent years? Metal Gear 2 Snake's Revenge for the NES. We need to see High-Roller Kakamami make his return.
It's time. It's absolutely time. I think something like that is in the cards. They'll probably do Metal Gear Solid 2 next, actually. Or maybe even go back to 1 and do 1 again. But we'll see. Delta seems like it did well enough to justify them continuing down this process, right?
I think Yeah, I think they said in their earnings call that it did undersell and that they
Okay.
were looking at that as they put that down to it being what they described as a remake and not a remaster. They were like, we didn't change enough, basically. It felt too old, which I think is the wrong lesson to take from that, but hey ho, because I think that that game's at its best when it does feel kind of old.
Yeah.
And so if they do go back to one of the other games, it will probably be the first Metal Gear, because that's the one they kind of will have the most license to change things with,
Yes.
you know? Um Whether that be Metal Gear, the computer game Metal Gear, or whether that be Metal Gear Solid 1, both of those games, they would have a lot more license when it comes to updating, because there's so much of them that would just have to be built from the ground up. If you're bringing Metal Gear Solid 2 to modern platforms, people kind of just want a high-res Metal Gear Solid 2. That's all they want. They don't want you changing gameplay. They don't want you updating things anymore. So yeah, I'd say either Metal Gear, the computer game, or Metal Gear Solid, the PlayStation game, are the two likely candidates.
Yeah, we do have to be careful though. If we say remake Metal Gear Solid 1 again, Dennis Dyack will show up, and
Oh god,
like the Candyman, you got to be careful with that.
he'll put down Eternal Sonata or whatever he's working on.
Yes, he's working on the new Chopin RPG. I can't wait to see that. Hell yeah! All right, let's keep going here.
Dead House Sonata. Dead House Sonata. That's his game.
That's all him. Yep.
Yeah, if you go on to the Dead House Sonata website, currently they have a bunch of like audio books that have a bunch of AI voiceover on them. So just an update on how that's going.
Woo! All right, the other double D. Okay, let's keep going here. Sorry to associate those two. Hollow Knight Silksong creators confirmed DLC is coming. This is from Blair Marnell at GameSpot. After spending 7 years working on Hollow Knight Silksong, Team Cherry's Hollow Knight follow-up is one of the most successful games of 2025. As an encore, Team Cherry has confirmed that there will be DLC released for Silksong. Just don't expect it too soon. I don't really know what else people would necessarily want to hear other than what we're already saying. Team Cherry co-founder Ari Gibson told Bloomberg, "Yes, we're continuing to work on the game. We're pursuing the things that excite us. I think what people might want to hear is there will be new stuff coming in a reasonable time frame and not 7 years from now." They also kind of like talk a little bit in this interview, and I think elsewhere, that they're not necessarily thinking about jumping to Hollow Knight 3 anytime soon. Like it's probably not going to be what's next when they get done with this DLC. First of all, that game is already massive. I would personally, like in a vacuum, if you just handed me that game, I'd be like, there is no way DLC is coming for this thing. It already feels like it has its DLC implemented in here. It's so huge. Very cool that we're getting DLC. I love that game. Love a reason to go back. But after this, Team Cherry probably will try something new. Is that what you want from them, or you'd like just stick to Hollow Knight?
I'd be kind of disappointed if they didn't try something new. I think, as someone who isn't the biggest Hollow Knight fan, like, I appreciate those games. I've played a lot of those games. Just the Metroidvania genre in general isn't my favorite, and I've kind of talked about that in the past, but like, I would love to see them try their hand at other genres, other types of things, because they do seem like they have a lot of ideas. Whenever they make a game, it is overflowing with different ideas.
That's right. So yeah, they could try some different stuff next time around, and I don't think that they're going to need to make the next thing something that is required to pay the bills, as long as they don't try to expand like crazy. I think they probably learned that the kinds of games that they're making, what they really need. And I don't know, who knows what they're thinking. But I, for the most part, I think if they just sort of tried some stuff and then went back to Hollow Knight 10 years from now, although the sequel took 7 years to make, so maybe that's not enough time. I don't know. Either way, I'm excited for the idea of them trying something else. And these two games can be stuff that I can go back to forever because they're so good.
They'll probably release Spoon Heaven at some point. Yeah,
look, we're still in litigation. We're still talking. My people are talking to their people. I don't know. There was a big debate on who came up with that first. But
how many times do you think anyone at Team Cherry has seen the phrase Spoon Heaven and gone, "What the fuck is that?
I'm gonna
What's going on with this?"
I'm gonna say it's like 3 times. Like
Yeah.
mostly, I think they're like keeping their head down and they're able to ignore idiots like us. And then a couple of times they're like, why are the people calling it
I know-
Spoon Heaven?
I know that they like to go to PAX and stuff like that, and there's a PAX in Australia. So next PAX Australia, any Giant Bomb fans, wear that Spoon Heaven t-shirt.
Wear your Spoon Heaven
just,
shirts.
Yeah, just confuse the fuck out of Team Cherry.
God, I should like save up money and just buy a bunch of those shirts myself and hand them out to everyone before the panel and make them all wear it. All right, let's keep going here. The Game Awards, talked about that a little bit ago, is hyping up a satanic statue that randomly appeared in the desert. This is from Claire Jackson at Kotaku. I may be born and raised in this fine city of New York, but oh, do I love the desert. Strange and unexplainable stuff happens out there. What with the aliens and all. Over the weekend, Jeff Keighley posted his most cryptic teaser yet for the upcoming Game Awards show on December 11th, featuring an image of a creepy-looking stone statue of skeletons in the middle of the desert. Folks were quick to realize that Keighley's caption, real, inspiring, thickness, was actually an address using the What 3 Words geocode service. It uses randomized words to quickly pinpoint virtually any location on the surface of the planet. Those 3 words took internet sleuths to a location in the Mojave Desert where there's presently a wild-looking statue. People were actually able to find this thing. You can see it at night. It's all lit up. People thought, hey, is this the new God of War, that 2.5D Metroidvania God of War? Is this something? Is this the new NBA Jam? That was my thought. Is this Diablo? And it seems like it's probably an expansion for Diablo 4. And I know you're just thrilled.
It could also just be that Keighley has decided to finally open up the
this is
dimension,
his dark Canadian arts.
Yeah, his hell dimension.
Sure.
People have been giving out that there's not enough seating room for developers at the Game Awards, and his solution is just to let them sit in the 9th circle of hell.
Yeah. This is where the future class is going to go now. They can, they just throw them into the hell mouth.
Yeah. I don't know. This seems like, yeah, sure. Diablo has the money for a stunt like this. This also seems like a stunt that I look at and I go, huh. I don't care. Okay.
Yeah.
There's another Diablo expansion. I'm shocked. And it's hellish. It's using hellish iconography. What?
How dare they?
I can't believe they've done this.
They used to send these statues to their partners like NetEase, and then NetEase destroyed them all with hammers and stuff. So they're like, let's just make them for ourselves and put them in the desert.
Keighley's just going to bring that home and put it in his backyard when he's done.
You know what? Let's get to this next story because this is also something that could show up at the Game Awards. A trademark for Control Resonant appears to have been filed by Remedy. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. A new trademark related to Control appears to have been filed by Remedy Entertainment. As spotted by MP First, the trademark was filed on Thursday and is for the name Control Resonant. Although the word control could be trademarked for any number of things, this particular trademark was filed under the typical categories most video game related trademarks are filed under. The trademark is something that can happen at any point in the development process or the announcement or marketing plan. I do think usually it does happen before the first public mention. I think this thing's probably going to show up at the Game Awards. Feels like that's been in the air. People, like a lot of times when we're going into various events, the new Control comes up frequently. I think they've had probably enough time to have something to show, even if that game is still a little bit of a ways off. I don't know. What do you think?
I would love it to be a new Control because that was one of my Game of the Years the year it came out, and also like several years after when I replayed it. Alan Wake 2 is, I think, that studio's best game. I would love to see every time Remedy releases a game, it feels like they have learned so much from their previous game.
Agreed, yeah.
And it's really exciting because every time a new game comes out, I'm like, oh man, they have addressed the things that people didn't like about the previous thing that they did, or they have figured something out. Firebreak being a example that kind of like proves the rule in a lot, or an exception that proves the rule. Because it's so out of the wheelhouse of what you would expect from them. But yeah, I'm almost kind of surprised if this is coming before the Max Payne remakes, but also I'm curious how much Remedy is making those Max Payne remakes, because it is a partnership with Rockstar.
I think they're involved, but right, they're a very busy studio. That is probably something like sort of a producer is involved in working with a team externally or over at Rockstar. Or, they probably hired someone. Either way, yeah, this feels like the kind of thing that would show up at the Game Awards. That team, Remedy, does seem to have a pretty good relationship with Keighley now, especially after being nominated for some of the recent games, Alan Wake 2, being something that got them up on stage a bunch of times, and I bet that helped them at a game that was struggling due to the fact that it wasn't on Steam. I bet that gave them quite a boost. I think they're happy to be involved with the Game Awards, so when they have something, would not be shocked for them to bring it here and be like, let's just announce it at this thing that has... this is one of the most watched gaming events of the year every year. But
and I will say,
tens of millions of people watch.
That musical number is probably the last time I felt good about the Game Awards and the best I have ever felt about it, because I was like, oh, this is the right tone to be hitting. This is the right thing
why
to be
you
doing.
Do this. Yes, other than to sell us stuff. This is the real reason you should be doing this thing, is to be like, let weird video game people celebrate their weird video game stuff in a really cool and fun way.
And from what I heard, it did a really good job of getting people to, like, who didn't know what the game was, actually go seek out the game, because it was so out of left field and it was so weird. And they saw it getting these awards, and then they were like, what the fuck is this musical number? So yeah, that game has a pretty strong chance of showing up somewhere like a Game Awards, if it was to show up soon.
All right. Epic CEO Tim Sweeney says Steam should drop its made with AI tags. This is from Dominic Preston at The Verge. Basically, the story is the headline there. Someone on Twitter was like, "Hey, the AI tag is irrelevant now.
It's racist, Grubb."
That's right. It's racist to the AIs." And then Tim Sweeney, popping out of his tree, was like, "Oh, the AI tag is relevant to art exhibits for authorship disclosure and to digital content licensing marketplaces where buyers need to understand the right situation. It makes no sense for game stores where AI will be involved in nearly all."
Yeah, because games aren't either of those things, Tim.
Also, just like, why do you care?
Yeah,
why is this something we need to hide?
I said it on Blue Sky, and it kind of comes from a conversation that we had on the show the last time I was on a little bit with the Steam and Gabe Newell stuff of like, boy, guys like Tim Sweeney sure do love a free and independent market that's well-informed, as long as they're not too free, too independent, or too well-informed.
Exactly. Know? Right. It's like, labeling just simply hurts no one except for bad actors, right? Like, I bought a water. Let me check the ingredients, which is fucking listed here. Water. Who's hurt here? How does the most obvious fucking thing in the world that this water's main ingredient is water, and everyone's going about their day. No one's losing their... Tim Sweeney's not fucking tweeting about this. He's not being a weirdo about this. It's just AI that we need to hide. So what's going on? What's the what does it serve not to disclose that it's AI? And the only things I can think of is you want to get away with as much as possible and not have an informed consumer base. He's getting a lot of shit for this, but I mean, bad news, everybody. Tim Sweeney, incapable of shame, incapable of like learning from being publicly humiliated. So
money does that to a person, weirdly enough.
He's only going to harden his position after this, unfortunately. So here we go.
But hey, good news. I've heard really exciting things about the next season of Fortnite and what it's collaborating with. So everyone's going to feel way better about Epic after that.
Yeah, and just again, shameless. They'll just partner with anyone, and he'll come out and tell. He'll be proud of it. He'll fucking
he'll
retweet her. It's going to be a nightmare. All right, last story here. Bayonetta actor Hale says she'd return despite online hate storm. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. New Bayonetta voice actor Jennifer Hale says she'd love to voice the character again despite the storm surrounding the events around her hiring. In 2022, longtime Bayonetta voice actor Helena Taylor called on fans to boycott the Bayonetta 3 ahead of its release after she was replaced in her role as the lead in the third game by veteran actor Hale. In a series of video messages, Taylor criticized developer Platinum Games and publisher Nintendo for allegedly offering her just $4,000 to return from Bayonetta 3, a claim denied by Platinum Vice President Hideki Kamiya. Series creator Kamiya later locked his social media accounts after he said he was flooded with messages. I just called them messages, but they were hate posts, just tons of verbal abuse pouring in, he said later. New actor Hale released a statement at the time attempting to address the situation, but she also got a lot of hate. I think that I was fine with Hale in the end. This seemed like a very messy situation. I remember it being like pretty black and white, and then obviously it was like, oh, there's more shades to this, but also I wouldn't be surprised to hear this industry mistreated voice talent. That's something it's famous for doing. Either way, I don't even know if we're getting another Bayonetta at this point, though.
Yeah, that's
go
kind
ahead.
of the big thing that I was thinking was like, this is a kind of big leap to make of like, oh, if they're making another Bayonetta, that's a big if. Like, I don't think that's on anyone's plate right now, especially Kamiya, who is running Clover's now. Like, Clover's has a very set focus of what it's going to be working on. Like, they are partnering with Capcom. You know, if Okami does well, I am sure Capcom has other things that they would like Hideki Kamiya's studio to work on that would follow on from some of the other like 50 influential games that he made. God Hand 2 is more likely than Bayonetta 4 at this point. Unless Nintendo were to be like, we really want Bayonetta 4, but I don't think Nintendo are feeling that right now because they have a new 18s plus game that they can hang their hat on for their mature rated games, and that's the Duskbloods. So I don't think Nintendo are going to be the ones spearheading this either.
Yeah. I'm still trying to remember like how all the rights situation parses out. Sega owns the IP, Nintendo owns publishing rights for 2 and 3. That relationship would, if they were to do a 4, would probably be pretty similar because I don't think Sega's interested in making a 4 by themselves, and Nintendo is not going to go buy the rights. So they could work with anyone. You're right. They could like work with Clovers and get Capcom involved. That seems like a headache in itself to get all 3 of those companies working together and have a big enough pie to justify it, because Bayonetta 4 just wouldn't be that big of a pie. It would do fine.
So just make God Hand 2, you fucking cowards.
I think that's the answer. That's clearly the answer. All right. That does it for the headlines. Let's get on and start wrapping up the show. As always, there was no poll question from last week. And if there was, I don't remember it because it was before Thanksgiving. If there was, I'll catch up on it on tomorrow's Wednesday show.
You caught yourself and you were like, let's not do one.
Thank you. Yes, because it was going to be a massive break. Here we are on the other side of it, and I can't remember anything as predicted. We did not do a Bomb 12 on the show, but there was a Bomb 12. I posted the blog post over the weekend. You can go find that. So I think it's the last thing that got posted on the website before the freeze. So you could check that out still. It is should have a link to the new Bomb 12, so you can start filling that out for this week's episode. So Friday when we wrap that up. In the meantime, though, I think we can probably start saying goodbye. Lex Luddy, where can people find you on the internet? What do you have going on, and all of that good stuff?
Yeah, so super busy the next little while. The Start Menu Winter Spectacular has just kicked off again. We had our first guest piece. There will be new guest pieces going up on startmenu.co.uk every single day this month. We have some really cool guests lined up. We have some really cool pieces lined up. And so, yeah, go check out Start Menu. You can find me at lexiluddy.xyz on Blue Sky. I am currently working on a thing in the background that I don't think we've talked about publicly yet, so I won't say it. But that will be a cool thing, and I'm writing a list for this website, which will be fun. Yeah,
we could talk about it. You're going to be editing the lists. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah. We're going to do the Game of the Year lists again this year, everybody. Guests are going to contribute. As always, thanks to everybody who just comes through, and because we don't pay for these guest lists. There's just so many. It's kind of like, let's just do this fun thing for the holiday. So thanks to everyone who gives us their time and does that. But Lexi's going to be helping us. We are going to be paying her for this to edit those lists and make sure that they look good and are formatted well. Of course, Marino's also helping with that. He's going to be getting everything into the back end for you. And then, so thanks for helping us out with that. We're looking forward to it.
And I was saying to Jan before you jumped in the call, because I'm anal and this is my brain and I have an editor's brain, I've been putting together a Giant Bomb style guide.
Hell yeah.
For stuff going forward if people want to know how to write things.
We are going to start posting those closer to Christmas time, everybody. So look out for that stuff. Then, okay. So new poll question. What do you
also,
want
Grubb, what did you say about Marino putting stuff into my back end?
You know, hey, that's just what it is. I'm sorry if everyone's not as technical as I am. That's just what it's called. I'm sorry.
Chuck!
What do you want?
Chuck! Help!
He's too busy to HR. You're all doomed. You're all fucked now. What do you want from the Hollow Knight devs after Silksong DLC? Hollow Knight 3 or something new? We'll see. We'll get the poll results. Talk about that on Wednesday here on Game Mess Mornings here on Giant Bomb. Speaking of Giant Bomb, Mike's on vacation, I think. He's always on vacation, but he's definitely on vacation this week. He's out at Disney. So no Monday evening gamings at Mike's at night, and no Monday mornings missed with Mitch and this guy. But we will probably have some other stuff popping off. There will be some reviews on the site this week. There will be some quick looks, I should say. I think, like I said, the Marvel Cosmic Invasion quick look should be going up at sometime soon. So check that out. Plenty of other fun stuff happening this week. The Bombcast will be tomorrow. Tune in for all of that. Looking forward to having a strong week back from Thanksgiving break.
What day is Metroid out again? Or what date?
That's Metroid December 4th. It's out this week. So
that's
really Wednesday night.
Yeah, Metroid Prime 4 is out this week. That's weird.
I played it again at Walmart. I was at Walmart just for groceries, and I went over there and I'll play through the demo again. I'm down bad.
Jan says in the chat, check out the vlogs. The vlogs are lovely. They're really nice.
They're great.
So
both
good.
Vlogs. They're fantastic. Great work, Jan. That's the vibe we want to keep going for, everybody. So if you like that stuff, again, giantbomb.com/join. Oh,
Jan wasn't happy with my idea that he should have ended one of them with Linkin Park. She said this isn't a Transformers movie, which I think explains a lot about why ye still don't have your Emmy.
Yes, honestly, you're right to call him out. Jan, everything we do should be a Transformers movie. Let's get it right. Hey, a secret. Deku Deals was sponsoring us in November. I know ad-free and all that stuff. Just real quick, we just went a little bit extra because today's Cyber Monday. Go check them out. That's the way to go find all the deals real quick if you want to get the most out of your money. All right, let's get out of here. Lexi Luddy, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games. I really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, Grubb.
Thank you all for watching and listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself. And goodbye.